He is president of Viveport and senior vice president of virtual reality at HTC. He successfully built up several international businesses in video on demand, YouTube MCNs, and esports, as the CEO for MTGX and Chief Digital Officer at Modern Times Group. At Google, he was the Global Marketing Director of Mobile and Social Advertising, and prior to this, ran marketing for all of Google's products in Europe. He is also a future astronaut with Virgin Galactic. Delegates, please give a huge hero's welcome to Rikard Steiber.
All right. Thank you so much. It's great to see so many technology enthusiasts here today. So when I was your age, I wanted to be a superhero. I want to put on the cape, fly out, and save the world. And when I look at my two daughters today, I can see that they want to do the same thing. They want to save the world. They want to save the animals. They want to save the rainforest. And with virtual reality, for the first time ever, we can all be superheroes and save the world. We are at the dawn of a new reality. And in this reality, I believe that we will take the best of humanity, our beliefs, our hopes, our passions, and mix it up with the latest technology, virtual reality, augmented reality, artificial intelligence, and the latest of 5G networks. And we will do this to create a world that we want to become true. I believe virtual reality is going to change the world for all of us. Every consumer, for you as students, for everyone in the business area. And the magic with virtual reality is that things that are impossible are now going to be possible. So think about, what would you do if you could be anyone? If you could go anywhere, and if you could do anything? Because that is what virtual reality can do. I believe that the one area where virtual reality will have its biggest impact is in education and learning. And the reason for that is that we will use all of our senses when it comes to having these experiences. And I want to give you a quick example. Let's pretend that you put on the VR headset and you go back to Jurassic Park. You're in the jungle, you see the giant brontosaurus eating grass next to you. You hear the roar of the T-Rex. The brontosaurus lifts its head, looks very afraid, and starts to move. Actually, the entire forest starts to move past you because the T-Rex is coming very fast, and you are also, by this time, running. This little experience took 10 seconds. But let's think about what you learned during these 10 seconds. You learned what some of these dinosaurs are eating, how big they are, how fast they are, who's afraid of who. In these 10 seconds, you created memories that will last a lifetime. How long do you think it will take you to read this in a book and learn the same thing? So it's a very, very effective medium with a higher recall than anything out there. The other area, which is super exciting, is creativity and design. For many years, we have designed 3D models and 3D designs and art on 2D screens, on two-dimensional screens, on our computer screens. So for the first time, actually, you can walk into your creation and create three-dimensional things in a 3D world, which is going to change everything. Doesn't matter if you do funny characters or you're designing your next dorm room with the IKEA furniture in 3D. So I run a business called Viveport. And when you think about Viveport, you should think about this place where you go to find great experiences. It's kind of the app store for virtual reality. And the way we want you to navigate this world is that you jump into this little Vive pod and fly out into the virtual reality multiverse. So if you could go anywhere, where do you think you would go? We have been amazed by developers and creators around the world who had created thousands of virtual reality experiences today. It is just mind-blowing to see what they do. And I hope that after this talk, you will be the next generation virtual reality creators. So, looking at the past million downloads, I want to give you a taste for what are people doing in virtual reality right today. So they've been leaving Viveport, traveling into space and discovering the universe. And I have a ticket with Virgin Galactic, and there'll be some NASA astronauts here, but people are already going into space today. Popular experiences are joining the moon landing with Apollo 11, going to the ISS space station, traveling to Mars before Elon Musk. And of course, all of us have probably seen the Star Wars movies, and people are wielding lightsabers. You can be a Jedi. But why leave for space when we have such a beautiful planet? And people have been going to legendary places like Stonehenge, going to top of Mount Everest, and of course discovering the Amazon, but also many of the beautiful cities around the world where you can travel and check them out before you go in the real world. I am a passionate scuba diver, and discovering the oceans is really a beautiful thing. You can be face-to-face with a giant whale, you can learn about the underwater life, or maybe even watch Shark Week on Discovery, but in a 360 environment where you're next to the sharks. But if there's one thing that people have been doing more than ever before, it has been enjoying the thousands of great games. And for the first time ever, you're not sitting in front of the screen, you're in the game, and you are the hero. And people have been fighting zombies, fighting dragons, learning how to ski and dance. But one thing that's truly amazing with virtual reality and the new generation is that you can move around. You're not sitting there in front of the telly. You're moving around and moving, which means that you've got to get super fit playing computer games. Gamers out there, you will have six-packs. So I wanted to show you my favorite game. It's called Beat Saber. And hopefully they'll turn on the volume for this video. So think of it as a Jedi Knight with lightsabers and a dance game. So let's have a look at the gamer Lynn on her experience. It's a short video. Enjoy.
I'm a living legend. You ain't heard yet, you not get the message. From the moment that I'm stepping in, I get a couple weapons, yeah, I turn to a beast when I'm rapping. I'm a living legend. You ain't heard yet, you not get the message. From the moment that I'm stepping in, I get a couple weapons, yeah, I turn to a beast when I'm rapping.
So, to do this, you need awesome technology. And probably many of you have seen mobile VR, where you put your phone in this headset and you can look around. This is not the real VR stuff. What we're talking about are things that either connect to your PC and have trackers in your room so you can move around, which is the Vive, you have Oculus Rift, and the Vive Pro, which is the most high-end in the segment. Or you have these new things that we call standalone. You don't need a mobile phone, you don't need a PC, you just put it in, and the tracking is inside out as well, which I think is going to be the main thing that many of you will be playing with in the not-too-distant future. The other thing is that there's an ecosystem of great tech out there. One of the exciting things is trackers. You can put it on a gun or a tennis racket, and then these real-life physical objects will manifest in the virtual world. There are haptic suits and gloves that make you feel, so when someone touches you, you actually feel the touch. Or you get shot and you feel the shot, which radically enhances the experience. Do you want to get touched or shot? I'm not sure. Anyway, another area which is exciting but needs a lot of work is brain-computer interface. So essentially, instead of using clickers or mouse or anything, you just think it, and the computer know what you want. So I would argue, and we'll see if you agree with me, that AR and VR is the next generation computer interface. So in the early days, we had keyboards and mouse, which is a very primitive way of talking to a computer, or each other for that matter. And then later on, we started web browsing, we got our tablets or our phones, and we started touching. And now, we're probably talking to our computers with Google or Siri or Alexa, but the next step is that we will actually step into the computer. The computer will shape around us, and we would use our body, our eyes, our voice to interact with the computer, but also to get messages from the computer. So there's a brave new world happening, which you're all going to experience. To get these experiences to the technology, we need great networks. And I think all of us have become very dependent on the internet and services all the time. The fifth generation networks, it will be in the order of magnitude of hundreds of times faster than we have today. Not just faster in terms of more bandwidth, but also latency, the time it takes for you to go back and forth. So clearly, video will be a high-quality video, and virtual reality experience require a lot of bandwidth, so they will be a killer app. But also, you don't have these programs on your computer anymore. They will be stored up in the cloud, so therefore the latency, the time it takes to go back and forth, is very, very important. Let's do a little experiment. Are you with me here? Okay. Do you think internet is important to you? All right. Let's, everyone who wants to have internet for life, stand up. All right, okay, bear with me. You now have two options. One, you can decide not to have internet anymore, or you can keep internet for life, but you have to cut off your pinky toe. How many, if you don't want to cut off your pinky toe and have internet, sit down? Wow. Okay, you can sit down. Thank you. So, let's see, 4,000 times 95%, that's a lot of pinky toes. All right. In this new world, we will have 1 trillion sensors connected, sensors measuring heat, time, location, on hundreds of millions of devices, sending data all the time. This data, you will be able to know pretty much anything, anytime about all the things in the world. You're having that with Google today, but it's going to come to the next level. You'll also be able to query this data, which means that you will have much more intelligence than ever before. So I want to come to the third chapter. You have technology, networks, and the third pillar is artificial intelligence. So recent advancements in artificial and machine learning have made tremendous progress the past couple of years. Today, artificial intelligence is primarily used for very specific tasks where the computer is really good. And we still have some years to go before we have these self-aware AIs that's trying to kill us that we see in Hollywood movies. So we're not really there yet. However, the direction is very clear and very fast. I want to tell you a little story about this. 30 years ago, in 1985, my chess hero was Garry Kasparov. He was 22 years old, and he had just become the world champion. This year, he was in Hamburg, and he was asked to play a simile game, where he was supposed to play 32 computers, the best computers at the time, at the same time. So him, 32 computers at the same time. How many games do you think he won? He won all of them. And no one was really surprised because computers can't really think and play games of chess anyway. 10 years later, when this picture was taken in 1997, IBM's computer, the Big Blue, beat him, and the world was devastated that a computer had beaten the world's best or the greatest championship. Today, on your mobile phone, if you have a chess game, that chess game would beat the IBM's Big Blue. So a lot of things has happened. And actually, last year, there was an AI called AlphaZero who taught itself from scratch how to play chess on a superhuman level to beat all humans. In 4 hours, it also beat the current chess world champion program, Stockfish. So in 4 hours, it learned how to play chess and beat everyone. So things are moving quickly. This week, in the news, how many Dota 2 players? Some, not so many. So Dota 2 is one of the world's most popular computer games. You have 5 players versus 5 players. You need strategy, you need tactics, collaboration to win. So the AI from OpenAI actually starting to beat now the world's best players. So things are moving really quickly. And I believe that you are coming into a world where we will have an AI revolution. We will have an AI revolution much like we had the Industrial Revolution. And listen very carefully now. The Industrial Revolution happened because we harnessed power and distributed that to any device and any person through the electricity network. So anything could get power. If you were hammering something, you could add electricity and have a machine do it. What's going to happen now is that we're going to harness intelligence and distribute that to all machines, all people, all robots, all devices through the internet. So everything is going to be much, much smarter. And that's going to change the world. There will be a lot of new companies coming up, but there will be a lot of companies going away. A lot of new jobs, but a lot of jobs going away. And that's going to be your future. So, in this new Vive reality, I believe that we will take these technologies, VR, AI, and 5G, but we need to combine it with humanity. We need to take not only the technology, but we need to take the best of our humanity to create this new reality and use technology for good. And that's why 2 years ago, I started an initiative called VR for Impact. And the idea here is to take the UN sustainability goals, basically the things that we need to fix in our world so it's not game over, and bring together creators and developers together with these causes and organizations to try to save the world and create new experiences that can help save the world. So I wanted to give you an example that's very important to me and my 2 daughters, and also to the world. I want to give you an example about the tree. Did you know that every day there are 123,000 acres of forest going away every day, according to the Rainforest Alliance? 123,000 acres. That's a lot. And it's a major factor to global warming. So how can we tell this story with new technology so that all of you, but also all our politicians and everyone in the world really understands what's going on, and so we can fix it? So we partnered up with the developers of the tree to create an experience so that you could be the tree. And the way the experience works is that you start as this little seedling in the big forest, and then you look up at this beautiful forest. You start to grow. Your body is the tree, and your arms become the branches. And it's wonderful. It's fun. And you're playing with your arms. You feel the wind. They have this wind machine. You feel the wind coming in your face. You have haptic feedback. You feel little critters moving on your body. It is beautiful. It is magical. You love being a tree. Then you hear the machines, and you feel the pain in your branches and in your body, and you're being cut down. You're being deforested, baby. You are dead. And people come out of this experience crying and ready to change the world and save the forest, and hopefully together we can change the world. Thank you.
Awesome. Ready for some questions?
Sorry?
Ready for some Q&A?
Yes,
All right.
absolutely, absolutely.
Let's welcome back Easton. All right, I'll take the clicker.
Thank you.
Take it away.
Amazing. I am an HTC Vive user, and
Thank you.
And my business is already changing how we look at design in the future as well. So I'm really excited to talk with you here today. First question from Andrew: how would you use virtual reality if you have glasses?
Yeah, so I think the way to think about this, it's a continuous spectrum from the real world to augmented world to fully immersed virtual reality. So the technology is still very early on, but probably what you start to see on these devices is that they have cameras. And they use the cameras now for two things. One is tracking, so you know where you are in the room, but also you can use it as see-through. And when you see through, you can add digital objects. So actually, you'll have a mode where you see through clearly, a mode where you are in augmented reality, and something where you're in fully immersed in. And I think probably, today they're a bit clunky. Tomorrow they will look like, your cool Oakley glasses or something.
So it kind of touches on the next question from Carter. What do you think the virtual reality technology will be in 10 years? And 10 years is, in technology, quite a while. We already might be, to that point where it doesn't look like a headset within a couple years. What do you think?
So here's what I think. In 2010, the iPad was launched, the first iPad. And when the iPad came, everyone was thinking, what do I need this thing for? I have a smartphone, I have a laptop, and this in-between thing, what am I ever going to use it for? And people started talking about, what are you doing on your iPad? Yeah, I'm shopping, I'm watching video. And people were actually talking about what they were doing on the iPad. Today, we don't talk about, you're going to go out on the internet today and do something. It's just there, right? And you don't talk about the iPad, it's just there. So in 10 years' time, it's just going to be there. It's not that you talk about the computer screen that's sitting on your desk, what are you going to do on that thing? It's just going to be so natural that in certain cases, we put on these glasses or have something projecting on our workplace, so we won't even think about it. It's just going to be this next interface to the computer, and it will, we don't even think about it.
Right. In a way, we're kind of in an adoption phase, and
yes.
We're starting to even come out of that, I'm sure.
In the early days of the internet, people saying, do you have a modem? What do we do with this modem thing? It's like, it's just going to be there.
Yep. Fascinating. Do you think there might be VR MMOs like Sword Art Online that people can interact with each other?
So we need it. We need it because I do think that social and social gaming is going to be so important. For those of you who are playing like various kind of battle royale and battlegrounds, some of those things are coming into VR. So I definitely think that that's going to be very, 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 very soon. So Beat Saber just announced this week that you can do that with your friends, competitive or collaborative. So.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
If you could go back to anything in your early life and give yourself advice, what would it be?
I think some of the advice that some of the other speakers told is like, don't worry so much. It will kind of work out. And what happens is that in the early days of years, you think you have all the time in your life. You're hanging around, you're watching Netflix, you don't do anything, you just want to chill, you just want to sleep. And then when you get a little bit older and you're like, clock is ticking, time is limited, and then you actually start to appreciate time a little bit more. But I would say, don't worry, enjoy the moment, it's going to freaking work out.
I love it. So Ben is actually asking two questions. I'm going to ask you the first one. Can you explain what working on virtual reality truly means to you?
So I am, like probably many of you, I want to work with something that's bigger than myself. I want to work with something that leaves a legacy behind you. And I do think that this technology is going to change the world and democratize access to experiences. So when I was at Google for many years, our motto was to organize the world's information, make it universally accessible and useful to everyone. It was like a big mission. But I think with virtual reality, it's not just access to information, it's access to experiences. So if you are your grandparents, you can take them to a different place. If you're a handicapped person, you can go somewhere. Anyone can experience anything. You can go up into space. You don't have to be a NASA astronaut to experience that. And there's something powerful there. But it's going to be up to you guys to build those experiences.
Yeah, amazing. This might be a tough one. You've had a very tremendous career and history. If you had to work in another field, what would it be?
So if I have to work in another field today, I would just start with artificial intelligence now, because that's just going to change everything. So you might as well start now.
Yeah, amazing. I know you touched on this a little bit. What do you think the next big thing in VR and AR will be?
The next big thing.
I know AI was a big part of that, and making the
So
hardware
today, 90% of all experiences are gaming. I would say gaming related. But when I think about what are the next big applications, I'm thinking about what are all of you spending your time on, and what are you spending your money on? Because I know that you're not going to get more time or money. So then the VR technology needs to do something that you're already doing, either much better, 10x better, or cheaper or faster, or you could do things you couldn't do before. So if you're into health or fitness or education, I would look on where you're spending your time and money, and that's where we're focusing on.
Yeah, great. So I know you're a fan of Beat Saber. What is your favorite virtual reality game, maybe other than Beat Saber?
So I am an old role-playing guy. So they have this thing called Skyrim. Throwing fireballs and killing dragons is, it's hard to beat.
Yeah, I'm a Skyrim fan, and that is a different level when you can actually live and breathe that. Yes, awesome. What was it like to develop the HTC Vive, and do you play the Vive quite often?
Yes. So I think HTC, who's been a very innovative company in the smartphone area, partnered with Valve many years ago to create this technology. And I think what's exciting now is that there are so many getting into this space. You have Facebook, you have Google, you have Sony, all the big dragons, so to speak, are getting into this space. So we're still in its infancy, and it probably has some time before you have mass adoption. But the money and the brain power going into the space now is just truly amazing. And I think with great developers and great creators, it's going to happen this time.
Yeah, and that's the amazing thing. I mean, it's open. Anybody can start developing this,
yes.
And it really changes what you can create. And
yes, and it's fairly easy as well.
Yeah, that's fascinating. What do you think some improvements in the future to the Vive and Vive Pro are going to be? Is it making it smaller, better resolution? What does that look like in the future?
Yeah, I think what's going to happen is that for you to have full presence, which means that your senses, your eyes, your ears, your body, sending signals to your brain so that your brain thinks that the virtual reality experience is actually real. I think that's just going to be improving all the time with better visuals, better resolution, better audio, haptic feedback, and of course the form factor and design is going to improve as well. So.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, I've been watching it, and it's fascinating what's coming out.
It's moving really quickly. So.
Yeah. How has virtual reality affected you?
How is virtual reality affecting me? So I think, I am very passionate about my work, and it needs to be very meaningful. So I'm always going all in, which means that, you cannot live and breathe this. So what will happen on a Saturday night is that we will bring some people over to our house, we'll have dinner, some glass of wine, and then my wife will look at me and she will say, Rikard, let's not do VR tonight. And then my friend will say, Rikard, I heard, can you wield lightsabers to music? And I would say, yeah, you can. And they will sneak off into the living room, and then I'll get shit for that later.
I love it. Is there ever going to be a way that you can feel what is going on? And I know you mentioned some of these haptic kind of suits that you can wear. What does the future of that look like to HTC?
Yeah, we build an open ecosystem. So we invested in over 80 startups now. Many of them have haptic solutions. So I think there will be a lot of different solutions for this.
Yeah.
Some of them are vibration. Some of them actually using electricity. I know you remember these things that gives you six-pack. but actually through electricity you can sense heat and cold. So I do think that these accessories that creates a more realistic experience. I think that the downside is it's going to be so good that maybe you don't want to leave.
Amazing. Well, this is it for questions,
Okay,
and I hope that you wear a 360 camera when you go up to space. That'd be an experience to live.
We'll do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.